Have you ever watched a basketball game so charged with raw emotion that it felt like the tension might crackle right through the screen? That was exactly the atmosphere when the Rose took on the Lunar Owls in a rematch fueled by personal stakes and festering animosity. From the opening tip, it was evident that no one planned to hold back, especially once Angel Reese and Napheesa Collier stepped into the spotlight. Every moment carried the potential for a heated confrontation, whether through collisions, trash talk, or game-turning plays. Fans expected fireworks, and they got them in spades. This showdown went far beyond the final score, digging into questions of pride, redemption, and which style of play would triumph. By the closing buzzer, players, coaches, and viewers alike knew they had witnessed something too intense to forget. The tension had been simmering for weeks. During their last meeting, the Rose pulled off an upset that had the Lunar Owls seething in frustration. Social media exploded with bold talk from both rosters, and subtle jabs were exchanged in interviews. Everyone sensed a storm brewing, given how closely matched these teams were in terms of raw talent and relentless energy. The returning winner, the Rose, looked to prove that their previous victory was no fluke, while the Owls were determined to reclaim lost bragging rights. Anticipation soared, and it wasn't just about which squad would walk away victorious. It was about who could break the other's spirit. From tip-off, you could see players scanning the court for even the slightest sign of weakness, and neither side was shy about baring teeth. Angel Reese arrived with a wave of hype surrounding her improved finishing skills. Lisa Leslie's training had supposedly refined her footwork and consistency around the rim, raising hopes that fans would see a more disciplined side to her game. Instead, Reese embraced a ruthless style that seemed to revolve around overpowering anyone in her path. She posted a respectable 17 points and 10 rebounds, but her performance came with a big asterisk in the shape of 7 turnovers and multiple near-flagrant fouls. Observers who tracked her movements saw endless attempts to bulldoze defenders rather than outmaneuver them. When those tactics worked, she looked unstoppable. But those moments were brief, and they came at a cost, especially if you asked her teammates, who had to scramble to cover the defensive holes that opened whenever she failed to convert her aggressive drives or took an ill-advised shot off the backboard. Confidence and trash talk were part of her arsenal, but they didn't always help the overall chemistry on the floor. On the other side, Napheesa Collier proved that calm under pressure can be more valuable than brute force. Early in the game, she took a hard elbow to the face from Reese, an incident that might have riled many players into retaliation. Collier, however, kept her composure and instead channeled that spark of anger into a sharper focus. She tallied 16 points, 9 rebounds, and contributed defensively with well-timed steals and blocks. Viewers quickly recognized that Collier's approach highlighted her basketball intelligence. No wasted energy on unnecessary scuffles or showboating. She made her presence known by protecting each possession, avoiding foolish turnovers, and refusing to let provocations throw her off balance. Every shot she took felt calculated, and even when her shots didn't fall, her discipline never wavered. By the second half, she was orchestrating plays and reading the Rose's offense like a seasoned pro, pointing teammates into position and shutting down passing lanes. Though the Reese Collier narrative hogged much of the spotlight, there were other battles unfolding that elevated the overall drama. Chelsea Gray and Skylar Diggins-Smith looked like they were in a personal contest to see who could score most efficiently. Every time Gray drained a jumper, Diggins-Smith responded with a driving layup, and neither seemed content to let the other control the rhythm. Meanwhile, Courtney Williams provided a constant stream of verbal barbs directed at her opponents, culminating in even more tension. Whenever she sank a shot or forced a turnover, her words were almost as pointed as her on-court play. Some watchers found it entertaining, while others cringed at the possibility that a single phrase could set off a full-on brawl. Yet, her approach seemed to fire up her teammates, who rallied around her confidence in key moments. Shakira Austin also emerged as a significant piece of the story, quietly dropping 17 points on remarkable efficiency. Much of that production came at Reese's expense, making the contrast between brute force and calculated precision stand out all the more. Austin never appeared rattled, even when bodies were colliding under the basket. She found open lanes, chose smart angles, and finished with composure that underscored how skillful footwork and timing can outclass physical power. Each layup or short jumper acted like a subtle statement, proving that sometimes the most effective play is the one that looks effortless. Then came the moment that ignited social media chatter. With the Lunar Owls up by a comfortable margin and seconds left on the clock, Collier turned to Reese and shouted, "Hoodie who?" Those two words spread like wildfire online, accompanying endless replay clips of Collier calmly dominating, while Reese struggled to maintain control of her impulsive style. People debated whether the phrase was celebratory or mocking, but the consensus was that it perfectly symbolized composure defeating recklessness. In less than a second, the entire backstory of their rivalry crystallized. Collier's poise versus Reese's raw force, measured basketball sense versus high-risk playmaking. Fans dissected angles, posted memes, and wrote passionate takes on how a single exclamation can capture the essence of an entire contest. What fueled this game's intensity was the genuine nature of the hostility between these teams. Sometimes rivalries are manufactured for spectacle, but the tension here felt authentic. Players from both sides expressed real animosity, and it showed in every shove, every glare, every remark on the bench. The coaching staffs had to break up spats that nearly escalated into brawls. Even post-game, you could still sense the bitterness, as neither roster seemed ready to let go of the night's events. If the two squads meet again, particularly in the playoffs or a championship scenario, it will only magnify the stakes and likely produce an even more explosive duel. Once the final buzzer sounded on this 66-56 Owls victory, the official box score revealed strong numbers from multiple players. Collier's all-around brilliance, Reese's double-double that came with some glaring drawbacks, and dynamic contributions from Gray, Diggins-Smith, Williams, and Austin. Yet, the statistics couldn't fully convey how charged the atmosphere was for all four quarters. Viewers witnessed a visceral reminder that the best matchups transcend mere skill and delve into passion, pride, and psychological warfare. When you see elbows flying, players refusing to back down, and triumphant phrases echoing across the court, you understand this is more than basketball. For the fans, it created a riveting spectacle. For the players, it forged or deepened grudges that might take an entire season to resolve, if they can be resolved at all. No one walked away indifferent. Those who love intensity hailed the game as an instant classic. Critics who prefer cleaner, technique-oriented basketball grumbled about the physicality and the near-constant trash talk. But it's impossible to deny how unforgettable it was. Everyone now wonders if Reese will learn to harness her physical gifts with better decision-making, and if Collier can sustain her calm dominance when another barrage of elbows and remarks inevitably comes her way. Should these teams collide again, the stakes will be monumental. Emotions will run hot, and every possession will matter. Given the spark we all just witnessed, a future matchup might stand as one of the greatest feuds in recent league memory. For now, Hoodie Who echoes across social platforms as the defining line of a heated, chippy, and unforgettable night on the hardwood.